welcome to Rico 12. I'm Justin, your host and a beautifully imperfect, stumbling, bumbling child of an absolutely powerful and perfectly loving God and an addict. Rico 12 is all about exploring the common threads of addiction and sharing tools and hope from those on a similar path. We gather from diverse backgrounds, faiths, and places to learn and support one another. Our speakers are members of various fellowships, addictions, and afflictions, thus showing the common threads of recovery no matter our addiction or affliction. Today's speaker for the 286th meeting is Cathy C., another first-time Rico 12 speaker. I'm excited to hear from her. Her chosen title today is The Crux of the Problem. What am I thinking? And I look forward to hearing her message here in a few minutes. First, for a little bit of business. Rico 12 does have several recovery resources in our family of podcasts and social media communities. To learn more, listen more, connect more, or just hang out and learn and grow with us, you can check out those other podcasts. You can find that at www.rico12.com. That's RECO12.com. And to join in our communities, you can do that there. I've also put links in the show notes, and I'll put, and in the chat, and I'll continue to put some of those things in throughout as people come in and out of the meeting. Rico 12 is self-supporting, and your contributions help us continue our mission. A specific thank you goes out this week to Marlene for her generous donation. Thank you all to all of our spearheads, past, present, and future. Your donations really do help in this project. And if you also feel a desire to become a spearhead and support this cause, please visit rico12.com/support or click on the links in the show notes in the chat that I'll have up here. For those options. Your support, not just financially, but with your word of mouth, makes a big difference in keeping us able to share these messages of recovery, of experience, strength, and hope. We look forward each meeting to receiving from the light reflected from our speakers. That light inspires hope, meaning, worth, and growth in each of us in the listening audience. Now I'm going to introduce our guest speaker for today, Cathy C., and give just a little bit of background information on her, and then I'll turn the floor over to her. Cathy came to Overeaters Anonymous in September of 2013 because she could not stay stopped from hurting herself with food, no matter what she tried. A miracle of healing happened 4 years ago when Cathy finally conceded to herself that she will never have enough willpower to abstain from compulsively overeating. Only a relationship with a higher power does for Cathy what she cannot do for herself. Take it away, Cathy. The floor is yours.
Thank you so very much, Justin, for having this weekly meeting. I sometimes pop in and I always listen to the recordings, and thank you everyone for showing up here today. And thank you, God, for these amazing people around us that have us become useful and a purpose today. But for me, I should just speak for myself. I didn't feel like that. It took me 11 years in the rooms, and 4 years ago, I can say I'm in recovery because I have recovered from a mental, state, like it says in the big book here. I have my little mini big book when I travel. So I've recovered from a seemingly state of mind and body now. My life is not perfect. I'll always have those human, character defects that we know about in the big book. But today I am free. And for me, I gravitated towards eating. I gravitated, the action of eating, hand to mouth, over and over again. And at a point, it got so bad that I was miserable, suffering, hating myself, and me trying to do it by myself. And for the first, I would say 10 years before I came to OA. So I had a lot of practice. And usually when you practice something, you get really good at, like the Olympics, right? You practice, you get better. You could even get to the Olympics. Well, I practiced trying to stop eating, trying to control my food, my weight, my body image, all those self-help books. I tried, and everything failed. And the worst thing is that it got worse and worse. It progressively got worse. You'd think after all those, moments, the misery, the pain, the crying, the promises, the new diets, you think I would get better at it. See, my mind would tell me, oh, you're better now, right? It's been a week, or, you lost like 2-3 pounds this month. It's okay. You can have a certain this or that. And I would just be there again in the food. it would never be that one or two bite or piece. Well, it's not my experience. Eventually, maybe after an hour, or maybe even after a week, there I am again, binging. And again, the remorse, the regret, the self-hate, and the body weight. That again. So here I am trying one more time, right? Those resolutions that I tried to do over and over again. But doctor's opinion tells me that there's something else that goes on with me, both in the not only in my mind convincing me that it's okay, we'll get to that a little bit later, but something happens in my body when I ingest those foods. You see, my husband and I, we can both, wanted to crave a dessert. We fantastic. My husband loves this like crazy dessert, chocolate decadence cake, whatever. And so he orders a piece, right? We each order a piece, and he's having 1, 2, 3 bites. He starts to slow down. He puts down his spoon and he's talking while I'm having my first, my second, my third. Something else happens to me. I go faster. I want more. I want more. The opposite happens to what happens to my husband. He slows down. He's okay. He's fine. Doesn't have that allergic reaction, the abnormal allergic reaction, like the doctor, Dr. Silkworth talks about. Something else happens to me. It is abnormal, and that's how I react. I react into wanting to eat more. Intensifies, never satisfied. So I have certain foods and certain ingredients that I have to abstain from. And I've been doing so for the last 4 years. And you say, well, how can you not have a piece of cake or dessert? I know, I don't know either how it's happening, but it is. I don't see it. I don't want it. That's the miracle. I did not do this by myself. I tried, like I said. So I came to OA, suffering, miserable, and this program, this God thing. I'm like, God, how hard can that be? Great. There is a God. Again, trying by myself for the first, I think I'd say 6 years, before I really found someone who really, put my nose in the book and said, no, you're here. Are you here or are you not here? And then I started to see, wow, there's something happening to me organically. She said, I want you to get a plan of eating. I'm like, plan of eating? I know how to eat. I know everything about dieting. I know all that stuff. I'm the queen. I can tell you 80 calories, 1 medium-sized apple. I can tell you the carbohydrates. I can tell you. And she's like, really? So how has that been going for you? How is that working? I was like, yeah, maybe there's something you're missing. Maybe there's something else. Are you willing to go to any lengths? I said, yes. So this is one of them, she said. I want you to tell me what you're eating in what amounts and what quantities and what frequency. Get a nutritionist who will help you with that. And just submit to me your food, what you're going to be eating today. And we'll do this up until you reach the 12 steps. I said, well, no, I'm, like if I eat like my nutritionist, like I'm going to get fat, right? I'm going to get fat. That was the sick mind. Here, I thought I knew how to get thin, and I came to it because I wanted to be thin, right? First and foremost, I wanted to be thin. Like maybe you guys all had like other stuff. I just wanted to be thin, and I was so close. I only needed to lose 12 pounds. Sorry, no, 12 to 20 pounds, right? But I'm like, if I lose 12, I'll be happy. And so she says, if you're willing to go to any length, that's the first thing I want you to be is honest with your behavior with food. It's like announcing it on the news, right? Or on the newspaper, this is what I ate. And like, so I was like, okay, let me try. And I said, but I might gain weight, right? And she says, you know what? We'll do it for 1 week. Stick to the plan for 1 week. If you gain weight, we're going to stop right there. Can you do it for 1 week? I said, I can do it for 1 week. I've been on diets. I can do 1 week. Great, fantastic. 1 week went by with the plan of eating from the nutritionist, and I felt full. I'm like, that's it. I know I'm getting fat. I must be so awful and fat, and everybody must notice. And this is how my mind was all the time, untreated mind. And a week later, I weighed myself. I'm like, haha, I'm going to prove her wrong. And I lost 3 pounds. What? I went back on the scale again. I weighed myself 3 times because I'm like, this is how did I eat so much food and I still lost weight? I was like, wow. And that was the first time I felt, okay, I can trust. I can trust. I can really be open to receive whatever's in front of me. So I continued on with the steps. And I was feeling different, right? Because God is in every step. And I finally went on a workshop after having done the steps. I was abstinent, but I knew I needed more. It couldn't stop there just with, being abstinent and feeling God. I still knew something was telling me, go, we need more. I needed more. And I did a workshop, a big book workshop. It lasted 6 months and it was during COVID. And during that time, the first step lasted, I think, about 4 weeks of really deep dive and conversations with other fellows. It's a meeting of about 100, 150 people. And I understood what powerlessness means. So for me, because the food thoughts were still there. See, I wasn't perfect or at all as free as I wanted to be. And I knew I knew there was something more there, and I had to listen to that voice. And now I see that it was always God all along. I thought it was me making these decisions, but it wasn't. So this higher power, right, that I had to come and pray. And my sponsor had told me, I want you to pray and meditate every morning for half an hour. I was like, half an hour? I'm like the flyby, the drive-by prayer, 5 minutes. Hey, God, say my prayer, 1 or 2 prayers, and that's it, right? Well, that didn't get me very far. It didn't get me very far at all. She wanted me to build a relationship with power. And then I saw it. And I came to do it. It was really uncomfortable for me, really uncomfortable, because the God that I had in my mind was the one that I inherited from my parents. We went to Sunday church. We proclaimed that we were sinners and I was bad already. So how can I be in God's good graces when I had so much sins to ask to be forgiven for? And why would God care about my body size anyways? He had important matters to take care of. Nonetheless, I knew I had to do something, and I was drawn to it from the inside, even though sometimes my mind would fight it. Thank God I had a sponsor who said, do this and do that. Because I would never, my mind always tells me not to. That's the problem. That's the problem with my mind. I'm powerless to that. I don't have enough willpower to keep me lasted. I'm really good at starting something, but I can't stay stopped. I can't stay on something. So the most important thing, if I can help anyone today, is really the step one really had to be cemented for me. The powerlessness. I would always blame myself. Well, why did you pick up again? I can't believe you picked up again. Why did you pick up? Like, what's wrong with you? But the thing is, I didn't want to pick up. Here I am thinking I chose to pick up. I didn't choose to pick up. The thing is, it will always be about food. I will always be rendered to the food. I will always somehow be brought there. I chose every time not to eat, and there I was. It's like I was being hijacked, taken and thrown behind a white van, and then saying, what happened? So often, a few times a week, I'd say, that's it, no more, we're done. Close the bag of chips, no more chips, and purge the pantry. And okay, guys, the kids and my husband, okay, well, we're going to do this and we're going to eat this way. And you know what? They stuck. Nobody was suffering. I was, still binging. And then starving. That was my cycle over and over again. I didn't choose this. It already is. The big book tells me, if I don't find a vital spiritual experience, I will eat. For others, it's drinking. For me, it's eating. So my so-called willpower on page 24 is practically non-existent. Oh my gosh, I saw that. It's not my fault, but it is my responsibility. And for me, I had to continue on with the steps. I had to see myself, identify in. On page 25, right, our creator, it entered into my heart, this creator. Why? Because I did the daily prayer and meditation, and then the feeling came. Because the feeling would never come, oh, you know what, I'm gonna, like, I don't know, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do that. I wasn't motivated like that at the very beginning. I just had to do it. And then the feelings came. It was hard. Again, it felt uncomfortable, but I had to go on. And then, things started to happen. I started to see God more or feel God. And I felt comfortable every morning sat down, open my computer, read some literatures or literature books or my big book or other books, and I would write as if I'm talking to a friend, the most loving, kind, spirit there could be, forgiving, compassionate, patient. And I would ask God for all these and ask Him, how would you want me to delight in this today? Where would you have me go? Who would you have me speak to? Who would you have me help? And get into that kind of agenda, not mine. First, I would disclose what was going on with me and ask God's help and guidance, just like pages 86 to 89 every morning. This is what I need to read. This is where my mind has to be. And then things started to change again. The food was getting further and further away. The obsession wasn't there anymore. Now I was really integrated into this program, right? Being in program, I have to take those actions. It's like taking a course. Well, if you don't show up for a programming class, school, you're not really in the program. If you're not going to be passing, and you have to go forward and actually take those actions. So I started doing those actions. I started getting sponsees then. I started showing up at meetings, joining groups, workshops. I also want to say on the bottom of page 25, right, where it says that, my Creator has entered my heart now in my life. That means my thinking and my actions. This power helps me do what I cannot do by myself. Just because I want it, I even probably deserve it or desire it, doesn't mean it's going to happen. I really have to come to God, and God, helps me get to the truth about this as He would want me to see it, give me perspective. My thinking had to change. At the bottom of that page 25, it says I have two alternatives. I always do have two alternatives here. Either I could blot out the intolerable situation, that's me trying to do it on myself, forgetting the binges, forgetting all the crazy things I say and do, and the mean ideas or mean thoughts. I could still be snappy, and that I can live that way, with that intolerable situation, or accept spiritual help. So I have to accept it. It tells me in the big book here that I seek God, and then I'll find Him. Right? Where and how am I to find this power? Right? The dilemma that we're faced. Well, it's right here. It says down deep inside me on page 55, down deep inside all of us, we have that. Now, is it obscured? Am I pushing it out of the way? Sometimes I do. I want an easier, softer way. I want my way. I want you to do this and that to happen. But it never feels comfortable, or it's not the way. Somehow I always come back to doing inventory. So I want to just go also to the crux of the problem here. On page 35, right? What is the crux of my problem? I came to see that it is my thinking. It has to be, I have to evaluate or see what is really going on in my mind, right? That mental state that it talks about, that precedes a relapse, right? Into eating, or even into sometimes wanting to argue, wanting to get my way. Because really the food, the eating, right, is a symptom of what? Of a deeper malady. I have a spiritual malady, meaning I'm not always in the spirit of love and compassion and forgiveness and letting people choose and giving them the dignity to choose. Somehow I think I still know how things should be, so I could be okay. It's very selfish of me. That's what the root of this is, right? So the eating is a symptom, the arguing is a symptom, fighting, all that, all symptoms to a spiritual malady. And only a vital experience, because on Dr. Young says the only way out of this, the only way out of this, is having a vital spiritual experience, right? And that is what? Huge emotional displacements and rearrangements. This is so important for me because this is what it really looks like. The ideas, right? So all my thinking, my emotions, the emotions are coming from the idea. Then I can become very full of anger, full of fear, full of disappointment, and attitudes which were once the guiding forces of the lives of myself. So this was the guiding force before. My ideas, my emotions, my attitude was my guiding force. And then suddenly cast to one side, like literally cast to one side, right? We've heard about the set aside prayer. Well, this is what it is. Set aside why? Set aside what? My beliefs, my thinking, my point of view. And a completely new set of conceptions and motives begin to dominate them. So this is God's ideas. So I need to ask God. I need God to say, look, this is my thinking. This is what I'm thinking. Is this really happening? What's going on? Why am I disturbed? Why am I bothered? And that's always the fear. And how am I going to know what's really happening inside me? Well, we call this inventory. Thank God someone put it here, paper, black and white. I don't have to think anymore. I'm able to read. I'm able to follow instructions. I can do this. And if I can do it, anybody surely could do it as well. And we just keep going at it. It gets better and better and better. My compulsive eating got progressively worse. But you know what? My recovery is getting progressively better as well. If I continue on here, right now, seeing that I have to question my thoughts, and I do this every morning, it tells me page 86 to 88 what to do in a day, tells me when to pray. Wait a minute. Oh, on awakening. And then, during the day, I take a pause. And then in the evening. So when am I really without coming to a consciousness with a higher power? Very rare. And even in my sleep, sometimes I have like dreams, reoccurrences again. And those again are all messages, the things that are on my mind that I need to go to God again, right? For more of God's power, because only God could remove this from me. So I don't tell God what I need or what I want anymore. That's me playing God or Mrs. God. It's like, oh, honey, can you take out the garbage? Like I can tell God to do that, right? My little errand boy. That's not a higher power. That's not a God. I ask step 11, right? What does step 11 do? I don't just pray and meditate. What am I praying? Or what am I meditating? Well, I only pray, right? Prayer is we ask, meditation is we wait for those directives, right? We wait for those intuitive thoughts to come through, to us through that. As I only pray for knowledge of God's will for me. That's all I need to pray for. Here I was wasting time praying for this, praying for that, praying for. What do I know? And did it ever work? No. You know what did? When I started practicing what the big book tells me to do, tells me what I need to ask God. I pray to improve my conscious contact with God as well. Sorry, by praying, I improve my conscious contact with God. And then I have like a quicker, reflex. I go there quicker and sooner because I do this every day as best as I could, to the best of my ability. But again, I'm not perfect. I still get upset. I could still be snappy. I could still I want this. This is not fair, blah, blah, blah. I can still go there. And, I have two adult children still living with me. My husband, they're great, fantastic people. I have a loving family. And I don't think anyone in my family had this thing like I had. So I can't really blame them. My dad's on the cusp of alcoholism, but he doesn't know it. So there's something there that I have. Only I am responsible for, and only God can help me, can save me. That's my salvation today, And I do the steps. I send my nightly to my sponsor. I need to sponsor. I need to help others because it helps me get out of myself. Again, if I'm in my head with something or with anything for too long, the malady comes up again, right? The because I only have a daily reprieve. It even tells me why this is happening. You think, oh my gosh, now you're abstinent, you're thin. Why are you in OA? Why are you still coming back? Like didn't you graduate, right? 12 steps, 12 years? No, no, absolutely not. I only have a daily reprieve. So I only have freedom today from that, right? So how I start the day, what I do during the day, and how I end my day, that's my responsibility, my responsibility. But there is a solution, absolutely. And this spiritual, malady is overcome, right? And then the body and the mind are overcome. So the obsession with food is not there anymore. It's not there. It's just been removed. I don't know when, but it was during the time I was doing the step work. And the step work involves connection, again, conscious communication with my higher power. My sponsor helped me. I had to follow her lead because I really wanted to know what she did, what she, actually not only say, but what she did. Because in the big book it says, what have others done, right? What did Bill do? Bill showing us what he did, right? Because he's he's really not God. He's just another, member in a 12-step program, just like myself. I don't know what people should do with their husbands, their children, their money, I don't know. I'm not a counselor, right? We seek professional help. I can guide you to go get professional help. But really, all I'm here is really to guide you through the steps to keep you, open so you can have this awakening. You can awaken to the power, to this higher power, which is already inside, down deep. We all have a higher power because we're all here today. We wouldn't have. We wouldn't have been here today had it not been for this higher power, for this intuition that down deep inside, there has to be a way out. This way of living had to stop, had to have stopped or has to stop. And today I see that I also have other stuff come up for me, my relationships, right? So that's why there's a thank you for that. So that's why there's after the chapter, there's also to the wives, right, or to the husbands, like what? I wasn't a nice wife, or to the family, like my kids, ooh, right? And then your work, you're right, your employers, the employers, and a vision for you. This is all how I am today. How am I to behave today with others in my life, right? My close family, work, outside, in public. How do I react to situations, right? Am I being still reactive? Let me look at what's really going on. It's never something out there. It has to start from inside me. Why? Because the world as I see it, right, is as I see it. Why? Because it's in my mind, it's in my head. Here, we don't all going to share the same opinion. So I really need to go to God first. I can't gossip to my sister, my mom, my husband. No, I really need to God with everything that's going on that somehow creates an emotion of uncomfortableness or detachment or anger, suspicion. So God here today is really teaching me and showing me today. And I still am humbled by all these, the shares of I hear, because I see God there, right? So I come every day, to abandon myself to God. I have to abandon myself, just let go of everything, what I think, and let's just, okay, God, here you go. Here you go. Take the lead. Show me again. And so I let myself be led, right? And the steps that I take. So I need the big book. Of course, I need time with higher power, and I need you guys as well here. So I think I'm just going to stop there. Thank you very much for letting me share, everybody. I hope I helped someone. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Cathy. I loved what you said when you said, hey, God, why don't you go take out the trash? God is not an errand boy. That is not a higher power. And I love how you developed that. I love how that went. Talk to us, go a little bit deeper on that as you shared about how your higher power cannot be just somebody that you say, hey, God, please sweep the street for me so I don't have to do it. If you wouldn't mind talking more about that.
Yeah, so like everyone here, I'm sure, right? We have things going on in our lives, our relationships, like um I'll speak a little bit on my relationship with my husband, a loving, caring man. Um, and I have so much fear with aging, getting older, like my memory, his memory. Um, and I still feel that, you know what, if I tell my husband, oh, you did this, wasn't right. Oh, you said that. No, 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 or this was wrong. And if I go down that route there, then that rabbit hole of trying to control and manage and change him, nothing has ever come out good. My angle, or I need to go to God first, say, how am I to be helpful? Should I say something? Like sometimes I don't know if I'm, going overboard, if I'm crossing the line. Now it's very disrespectful what you said. I don't see that. And that's why I need God's vision. And I ask God, help me how I can be helpful. Not, can you make my husband stop doing that? Or that's wrong. Oh, sorry. They're fixing the alarm in the condo. I don't know if you hear that. Sorry about that. Okay. So I can't tell God what to do, who to fix, what to change. I just need to go to God and ask, am I saying this okay? Is this how it is? Is this really happening? Because only God will show me the truth, right? The great reality. And it's only when I pause and when I sit and I stay, God will let me know. No, that you need to go make amends, and I have made amends, and it seems like more and more I catch myself quicker. Thankfully, I don't cause as much harm, but my husband knows, and he calls me out right away. He's like, "Oh, that doesn't sound like you." So God is helping me. How am I to share? What am I to say? And at the same time, God tells me, "Go get busy. Go help someone in the rooms." Go do something. Like forget your husband. And I hear myself saying that, forget it, he's fine. There's nothing wrong with him. It's all about you. Go help someone. Go find your purpose. Go be useful. There's where you need to be. And so it's like, and I do feel better. I do feel like now I can actually be helpful. Whereas before, I don't think that was helpful. So this is what I bring to God, usually every morning before I start my day, because I know I'm going to run into my husband, my kids, or someone. So yeah, I hope that answered that.
Yeah, thank you for going through that, Cathy. I really appreciate it. A reminder to our live audience, if you have a question for Cathy, you can type that in the chat. If you'd like to remain anonymous so I don't read your first name when you do that, you can either send it direct message to me or put in the chat an anonymous, please, and I'll just say from an anonymous attendee. But we'd love to hear some questions from you. I've got one here from Cheryl. Cheryl says, thank you so much, Cathy. Beautiful share. So how do you show up differently in your family? And Cheryl says, I'm in the midst of it and realizing that food was really useful in my avoiding painful issues in our lives. I feel like I'm drowning in pain and I don't use food anymore. So how do you treat God and others well when you're facing family issues fully sober?
Yes, I really need to get to work with others. I can't focus on my family. I can't focus on changing them, unless they ask me. And sometimes I say, do you guys want feedback, or and yes or no, and that's fine. So dealing with my family and their own issues, I really trust that they have their own higher power. I really need to, believe that. And you know what? Now I do believe that. And the thing with being sober, I could never have stayed sober long enough if I didn't get right with God and right with others. It doesn't last for me. I can't white knuckle my food. It has been removed, and so now I work on the other things that bring me, pain or angst. Right, like it tells us in the book, and so I do my inventory. It tells me, where am I selfish, where am I dishonest, self-seeking, and fear. So I do those. I do a 10-step every day. I actually partner up every 2 weeks. I partner up with a 10-step person, 10-step buddy from anywhere around the world. And this is what I do. So it makes me, having to look at myself. And some days are better than others, and I just share gratitudes, but there's always something on my mind. There has to be, because we have like thousands of thoughts, a day. And so this is what gets me out of myself as well. And I'm able to help someone. I try and do service every day, try to help someone else. Because if not, just trying to be abstinent or sober, just again on my own power or willpower, just because I want it, it never stuck. So the more I get into helping others, the more free I am. Why? Because there's God there. I feel greatness, and that's a higher power. I don't feel great meaning, oh, look at me, I'm great. No, I feel greatness meaning God. And it humbles me actually, does the opposite. So then I'm not as frustrated. I really see the whole picture. I could have people be who they are, and they are okay. All is well with them. All is well.
Yeah, it sounds like you're striving to practice that principle of acceptance that we find in the big book there, 417 through 420. I have a question for you based on something you said towards the end of your talk there. You talked about, instead of my addiction getting progressively worse, my recovery is getting progressively better. And I love that. I love that visual. Can you share maybe a more recent improvement you have experienced in your recovery, a step where you went, oh, I can see how my recovery is getting progressively better?
Oh my gosh, yes, I have almost daily, if not every other day, a sense of like honest, like wow, that's like a higher power, that's God. Like I would never have thought that, but just more most recently, my son has an illness, and it's every 6 to 8 months he still has to get checked because it could come back, and I wasn't afraid this time. I wasn't, going to that dark place, and I was like, no, it's gonna be fine. Even if there is, another, let's say, a tumor or something, he'll just get operated. He's a great doctor. He's gonna recover. Gonna be fine. And that's how it goes in my mind. I stick to the facts, not my feelings. My feelings will, like, again, take me to a place of either in the past where I lost my relapse when he was first diagnosed, took 6 months, and the future will be like, oh my God, what if he the worst case, so what if he passes away, then what? So I can't live anywhere else but here and today. And this is what this program teaches me, is to be here and today. It's a daily reprieve just for today, meaning I can only live in today. Anywhere else is dishonest. It's dishonest. I that's the source of my suffering, is when I'm not here in the moment, here today, and I ask God to help me see here today, and I feel comforted, and I feel again a sense of it leaving me, whatever it was. I feel restored again, right?
Miracles. I call that a miracle, and I call that progression in recovery. Thank you for sharing that. Just 2 days ago, I was recording the Big Book Roundtable that I do every week with David G. and Nikki M. And it's a podcast that you can look at if you want, anybody out there, Big Book Roundtable. But David shared a prayer that I had never heard before that I think relates to what you shared, and several things you've shared here that it's been like screaming in my head the last 2 days. And the prayer is this: God, remove the veil so that I can see what's really going on here and not be intoxicated by the stories and the fears. So as I share that prayer with you, and in relation to what you just shared with us, Cathy, what do you have any additional thoughts on that concept of let me see the truth so that I'm not blinded by the stories or the fears?
Um, and not only let me see it, but it can't stop there for me. I need to get busy. Actions, then it will have me practicing those same actions over and over again. Again, prayer is great, but if you don't have that meditation or that contemplation, like I'm in a place to receive and I'm open to receive, and I wholeheartedly want to think differently, to speak differently, and to take actions differently, I have to do those actions. I have to wait and follow it with actions. And if anything else, if sometimes it doesn't come to me, I know right away I can make a phone call, help someone, ask how they're doing today. Can I help you today? Is there anything you need today? Or if I know if my mother-in-law is not well, she has Alzheimer's, well, I'll start making a great big batch of food. I go do their groceries. I think of what else do they need? Let me call the this. Let me check up on that. Wait a minute. Let me ask. And my mind just gets rolling because I'm thinking of someone else. So not only do I ask God to help me to remove it from me because I can't, I know I need to take actions. And by practicing, by first someone having to tell me, do this, do that, make those phone calls, get out of yourself, think of someone, but actually do something physically, it won't stay. So it has to be followed by action. This is a program of action, right?
Yeah, that faith without works is dead concept. So what does your prayer and meditation life look like? How does that practically look in your life?
So literally, I physically, I get out of bed. I don't do it in bed anymore. That's how I thought it had to be done. First thing in the morning. No, being on a workshop, the person should, and my sponsor should, they would just get up, be seated, use the toilet if you need to. I used to make myself a cup of coffee or tea or water, and I would just, sit there with a book, pen, and paper. I physically, literally do that, and it's always from somewhere between 6 and 7 in the morning. Because 7, I get on a big book meeting. That again is a daily practice. So somehow there, within that hour, half an hour, I sit, I write, just like on pages 86 to 87. So before I start my day, I really look at other things that I did the previous day, right? Because I did my step 11. My step 11 has me see today. How did you do today? And I don't beat myself up anymore. I was like, okay, give me those actions, God. How can I make this better? How can I improve whatever thing happened, or this is bothering me? What is it? Where's the fear? And then it comes. I see my selfishness. I see my fears, and I'm writing and I'm writing, and it just comes to me, just comes to me. And then there's again those actions. And again, it's always being helpful. I think it says over 100 and something times in the book, being helpful, being helpful, being helpful. So I think we have to be helpful. And that's how we help ourselves, is being helpful to others. It's not a self-help program, it's a help others program. And so I always keep that. Is that helpful? Is that helpful to say? Was that helpful? Right? It's my gauge now. It's my go-to word. And then it's in the pause. So that's what I do in the morning. And then I get on a meeting, on a big book study meeting, a big book study meeting, and they read paragraph by paragraph and they share. And then at 8 o'clock, I set up sponsee times sometimes if that's okay. And I just I get going. I start my day from then on.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. I really appreciate it, Cathy. We have another question that came in from the live audience. This is from Aman. Aman says, "Thanks, Cathy, for your share." And then he quotes from the big book. "To the alcoholic, his alcoholic life seems to be the only normal one." And then he says, "Because I have not had long-term sobriety, I cannot fathom that there might be a different reality for me. Have you felt that way at any point in your life, and what is different now?"
Yes, the thing is, I was stuck in my own mind with those same, emotions, those same, that same language, those ideas, those beliefs. They were cemented in me, and I couldn't get out of myself. And I thought I had the power. I should have had the power. I thought the willpower to stop, to knock it off. Like I knew better, right? Knowledge did not help me. The desire to stop that did not help me. Even the pain and suffering didn't help me from stopping from doing it again. And that's when I saw, oh my God, that's what powerlessness looks like. I'm powerless. I don't have enough power. I need power. That's my solution. Where am I to get this power? Because it will lead me to become sane and whole again. That's my step 2, right? I come to rely on that power. So rely on it. I do this every day. I come to rely on it. Why? Because I'm asked to see God in my life today. Where, is God everything, or did you push God a little bit on the side, or did you forget completely and really said something like, oh, really, you know, not very nice, or my intentions were all self-centered. So definitely, there's a transition that happens, and it happens with practicing with, by doing the steps, just following the directions in black and white, and I catch myself quicker. And if I don't, it usually comes back even after a day or two. Like it's like, remember that? Maybe you want to revisit. Maybe you should go help that and do this. So it forever. But I have to be open again. I have to abandon myself to the steps. I have to start from a clean plate and say, you know what? I know nothing. All my experience and my thing at this point right now, let me just set it all aside. Maybe, it has helped me to come here. Let me just start here today with with whatever's in front of me, and let someone else take the lead. And and trust. And that's how it is still today. Sometimes, if I'm honest, I still have to trust, faith first. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for that. And I remember in your share, you said, I went to my sponsor and I said, hey, I know that an apple has this many calories, that there's this much carbs in this and whatever. I know those things. And she said, well, how's that working for you? In your food plan today, in the way you live your food plan today, do you count calories? Do you look at micronutrients? Is that something that you really concern yourself with in that process?
Yes, I do. Absolutely. I know exactly what I need to eat because I've been doing it for so long. So I have like I know the amount of protein, and my carbohydrates, a piece of this or the thing of that. I pretty much still eat in the same way in terms of quantities, and I'm at a healthy, weight. My doctor's like, wow, so surprised that my levels are fantastic. And so it's just food now, and it's just food. So I still have to be vigilant. Certain things I do weigh and measure, because just with a spoonful, if I don't have them often, I'm like, let me just weigh and measure. Um, and I don't like to feel over full. It's really uncomfortable, and in the past, it would trigger for more eating. You see, whereas people who get full, they stand back. Whereas again, something happens to me very abnormal, very abnormal. It was a really crazy relationship with food, but now I've overcome that as well, and I have a plan of eating. And at the beginning, I would check with my sponsor, or firstly my nutritionist, and then with my sponsor. And okay, sounds great, sounds healthy, and it has been. So it's very rare that I have a problem with food. If I have a problem with food today, I know I'm being dishonest in my life. I'm not looking at something, usually a relationship or an emotion that I'm not, processing, wholeheartedly, with God, that I'm still trying to avoid. Those are the signs for me today, So yeah, so
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Cathy. So, one of the promises of the Big Book promises, we can live happy, joyous, and free. What does that freedom look like to you today in your food, maybe in your emotional and sobriety also?
So freedom from food. I'm not drawn anymore. For me, I had a really, really, a big um, abnormal reaction to sweets, to cakes, chocolates, anything, even crunchy, baggy stuff. I can't do that because, well, it never stops at one portion. Somehow I always end up binging. So I haven't had that in 4 years. No cake, no, none of that stuff. So I recovered from that. The obsession is not there. It has actually been removed from me. And we go out often, we travel, I cook, I bake at home. For sure, I could bake. I bake my kids, stuff all the time, or the family. Everything is around food. Any nationality, it's all about food. And now I'm neutral to it. I am neutral. I know what I need to make. I do. I eat. My family loves it too. It's a healthy, great food in normal quantities. So I'm recovered from that. I don't hate myself anymore. I don't wake up saying, oh my God, how much do I weigh? How does my body look? I was obsessed with my body because I thought that was the problem. If I lose weight, then I'd be happy. It's the opposite. Where's God today? I didn't sit with God. I need God today. If I don't have God today, I'm unhappy. So I know when I see God, when I meet God, when I find God, which is again down deep inside me, then I'm happy. That's the source of my happiness now. And I have a loving husband and my kids, but God is on top of that. God comes first. God is first. Because if I don't have God, I don't have anything else in my life. Everything goes to the crapper in my mind. So,
Yeah.
and then, sorry, you said food. What were the other?
Emotional sobriety.
Yes, emotional sobriety. So that's exactly. It's all about emotional sobriety, right? We think it was the food. The food was a great distraction. Those were the actions I took. Hey, I'm hungry. No, you're not. But yeah, we're gonna eat. We're gonna just eat a little bit here. And I was totally, distracted from what's really going on. But the big book. it's like a skill set. It showed me exactly where am I to do, what am I to do, so I become less reactive, less emotional, less in my feelings, right? And more into action, more into seeing the real, the truth, and not hating myself about it. There's no more shame anymore. There's no more shame. There was so much shame and so much like, you know, hiding and wanting to not be seen. Right? We talk about that isolation. Yes, because there's shame because of what we've done, of what we're feeling and thinking. So my emotions now, I'm in tune to my emotions and I embrace them, saying, okay, what's going on? It's just fear. You don't hate anybody. There's a part of you that's being threatened. What is it? What is it? What's the part that's being threatened? And it's always having to do, the lack of like compassion, empathy, to trust. There's no trust. And I don't forgive. I know I have a hard time forgiving. That's one of the biggest defects. I had to come and say, I don't forgive. I have to hold on and make them accountable, make myself accountable. Well, that's awful. I was never able to give people, to show some empathy and compassion. And when I listened to God's word and being more gentle, I was able to be gentle to others. And when I was gentle to others, I was able to be gentle to myself. That's how God plays in my life right now with my emotions. That's how it is. Because I will be emotional. Of course, I'm going to be happy, sad, cry, upset, but I don't go there. I don't stay. I don't dwell. It doesn't manifest into something else, into terrible actions anymore. It's in its right place, right? It's not disproportionate anymore. It's proportionate to what it has to be. And I bring it to God. And only God can keep me on that sane, way of feeling and behaving.
Yeah, thank you, Cathy. We have another question from our live audience. This comes in from Christy. Christy says, thank you, Cathy. Great share. I really heard today that the food addiction hides a deeper obsession with controlling my appearance or controlling appearance and controlling my body. This was what I thought was my solution to the search for peace and happiness and confidence. But actually, it is in reminding myself to be of service that helps to lessen this. How are you now with seeking the solution in outer appearances? I'm still very much a work in progress. So how are you with seeking the solution in outward appearances of your body image?
Yeah, so I had to have a plan of eating to help me to get to the healthy body weight. I had to see that, and that's the first, honest spiritual step I had to take. Can't engage in doing those things that brought me to the same place. So I had to be honest with it. Honest. So I had to follow a plan of eating. And then from then on, my focus was on the big book, on the actions. Oh, my sponsor told me to call this, to get on this meeting, to write on this. Oh, we're meeting in 2 days. I have to read the chapters, listen to a podcast. I got focused on program actions. And she would ask me, did you get on a meeting? What did you hear in the meeting today? What did it say to you? So my ears were open to this. I had to think and look for things, and it kept me busy. So the voice of the food was down because I trusted that my food was going to be okay because I had it written down. I didn't have to think anymore about do I eat it? Is it no? Did I have a fruit today? Fruit? Oh, it's a carb. Well, might as well. I'm going to have ice cream. And then it didn't stop there. Like, that's insane. That's how it used to be. I couldn't manage my own food. And honestly, I really couldn't because I would have. I wouldn't have come to OA if I was doing such a fantastic job with my food and my body and my whole, unmanageability. Because that's what I'm really suffering from, that unmanageability, right? The bedevilments. Am I guided by devils today or am I guided by God? Right? So the unmanageability will never leave me. It's a daily reprieve. That's the best well-kept secret in the 12-step rules. Here I was focused on the food in my body. Oh my gosh, step one, the second half says that my life is unmanageable. What does that mean? My thinking and my actions, right? I can't do what I want to do. I can't stop doing what I want to stop doing. That's the craziest place to be. And we've all been there. I'm 100% sure because we're all here today. So each and every one of you must have felt that. So how free do you want to be? how free do you want to be? I want to be totally free, right? Because the unmanageability stays with me. But it now, with God's help, hey, you know what? I'm able to manage. I like my life. I'm 55 years old, and I'm not concerned. I feel good. I know that the same pair of pants will fit me. The dress of 2 years ago will fit me. Maybe even the one of 4 years ago will fit me. I'm a little bit shorter, so maybe the hem won't be as lovely, or it might be out of style. But that's okay. I don't worry about that anymore. That's freedom. What a big chunk, like 85% of all that is gone. Right. So now I have room for what? I have room to live my life today. And it comes by doing the steps. I'm adding more things to it. To include in my day. I become conscious of other people, of how are you feeling today? How is your life today? If ever I hear or see something or someone, I like to reach out and say, hey, how's it going? I'm here, whatever. So that's how it happened. It happened organically. I didn't choose, because I chose, again, 15, 20 years ago when I started to eat to stop obsessing. It didn't work by myself.
Yeah.
So steps.
No, that reminds me of a phrase I've heard in the rooms of food addiction is, I came for the vanity and stayed for the sanity.
And that's where I found my humanity.
Love it.
I found my humanity.
Oh, I love that. I love that addition to it. That's where I found my humanity. Thank you for sharing that. And thank you for this. Do you have any final words of wisdom before we start wrapping up this meeting?
Wisdom. I don't myself, but I do think, the salvation, we're all going to struggle. Life is going to happen whether we like it or not, whether we're ready or not, whether we deserve it or not. It doesn't matter. I find if we all come to rely or come to see that there is a higher power, a greater power, it could keep us sane and alive today. And alive meaning like thriving inside in our hearts. We were ambitious people. That's where we're meant to be. And I really believe only a higher power can do that for us. And we don't stop. We don't give up. And we are all worth it 100%. And we can all get it. We can all get it, no matter where we're from. Our own experiences. It's really in the big book. It really is living along the spiritual principles, so we can all get it, and we all have a higher power. Again, we all have a higher power. That's where I had to first and foremost start. Well,
excellent. Thank you so much, Cathy, for a fantastic RICO 12 weekly speaker meeting. If any of you out there still have more questions that you'd like to ask, or if you'd like to get in contact with Cathy, please consider joining our WhatsApp community. And to contact Cathy, email me at rico12pod@gmail.com, and I can get that facilitated. If you haven't done so already, please consider rating and reviewing the podcast on Apple Podcasts. It's a powerful way to work step 12 to get this message out to more addicts who are suffering and are seeking solution like what Cathy is sharing with us today. Next Friday, we will hear from another RICO 12 first-timer, Dan B., who will be speaking on Step 9 amends with self and with higher power, and I look forward to hearing from him. All right, let's launch off into the rest of our day with the third step prayer that Cathy's going to say for us.
Thank you. God, I offer myself to thee to build with me and do with me as thou wilt. Relieve me of the bondage of self, that I may better do thy will. Take away my difficulties, that victory over them may bear witness to those I would help of thy power, thy love, and thy way of life. May I do thy will always. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much, Cathy. Everybody, remember, there is one who has all power. That one is God. May you find God now. Keep coming back. Come all the way in, sit all the way down. Let's trudge this road of happy destiny together. Work it. You are worth it.
I've seen stars fall from above. I've fallen in and out of love. I've been high and I've been low. Now I know I just can't do this on my own. I've seen a boy become a man. Got lost without a plan. He so far away from home. Now I know that I just can't do this on my own. Your arms surrounding me, your touch is grounding me. No longer searching for purpose all alone, 'cause now I know that I just can't do this on my own. I'm looking for the words to say. You make the world a better place, and I can call that place my home. 'Cause now I know that I just can't do this on my own. Your arms surrounding me, your touch is grounding me. No longer searching for purpose all alone, 'cause now I know that I just can't do this on my own. So let me see just what you need to set you free, so we can be. I saw stars fall from above, I fell in and out of love. I got high and I fell low, but now I know that I just can't do this on my own. No, I just can't do this on my own. I just can't do this on my own.